All right, let's get started. I'm pulling up some more questions for you. And I think when we do follow-up calls, which we're going to do here, that'll help too, because the follow-up calls will really be a big benefit to that. With the new leads you're working, or the people that toured last week or last month even, this follow-up to a visit connection sheet will help you a lot. He's trying to pull up a document. Yeah, can you just scroll down to the second page? So we have a tool we create all different cool tools depending on our client's needs. Now, how many we give you is another issue, because then you get overwhelmed and you don't use any. But this is where I said you could kind of laminate some of these. So the bottom line is you can create your own. But you want great open-ended questions that just help you. And a lot of you are saying, well, what do I ask for this situation? And what I want to stress is we don't want to have to remember exactly what question to ask for every situation. You'll go crazy. The whole goal is just to remember to ask an open-ended question of any kind. So if you can't read, so you can use any one of these. Again, just kind of demonstrating, you and I have been speaking for quite some time, and you can reference, it's been about a year now. I was wondering, what was it that made you initially call us? And then basically we're saying here, let them relive the moment, even if you think you know, because that puts them back into a shopper's state of mind. As you look to the future, what do you think will be the number one deciding factor regarding the community you'll choose? I know you're not ready to make a decision for another year or so. Can I ask, what was it that made you decide to begin your search today or last week? So again, you see in the pattern, it's just open-ended. And we can give you this in coaching to have. I'd say with this, you just kind of laminate it, keep it somewhere near, just pin it up near your phone or in your sales folder, whatever you use. You mentioned that you just started your search and are looking to make a move in 1 to 2 years. Can I ask, what in particular made you decide to call me today? So it just goes back to the same kind of questions. When we first spoke, you mentioned that blank was most important to you in choosing a community. We're going to recap, what needs to happen to make, I can't even read that one. Sorry, this is small. I think I'm needing glasses. I have them, I just don't wear them. I'm trying to find ones I haven't already said. We've been caught, now that you visit our community and several others, what have you found to be most important to you in regards to communities, amenities, and services you'll choose? What's keeping you from making a decision? So they're just really, until you master asking open-ended questions, we just give them to you. And I think the biggest thing is it should be on your mind. And I encourage you guys the rest of this conference to talk to each other. And when talking to each other, instead of talking, try to learn about each other. So you can start that here. You know what I mean? So if you're tonight doing your line dancing and you're having a cocktail, asking rather than just talking, try to learn about the people that you don't already know. And it'd just be great, because it would probably be the most fulfilling nights of your life if you actually did that, because you'd be like, oh my gosh, I had such a great night. Really all you did was learn about other people. But you connect more. It's fun. It's more intimate. So what did you take away? Were you able to, in that awkward role play scenario, were you able to kind of walk through your close and get comfortable with that systematic close or not? What were you thinking? What are your comments or questions? It must have been awful. Yes.
The wrong questions with a yes or no answer instead of open-ended, and I try to redirect and try to correct myself.
So you would notice it though, right?
Yes.
That's all I want. That's a huge win. And did you learn more when you switched it to an open-ended?
Absolutely.
Okay. You cannot expect to become a pro at this, guys, in a day. Seriously. Do you think about it? Therapists go to school to learn how to ask lots of open-ended questions, and they go for 4 years. Just kidding. So, it is a process. So give yourself a break. You know what I mean? We're kind of being enlightened, would say the word. Realizing, what else did you take away?
If they aren't there yet, to give the priority deposit, setting the next step by inviting them back to do something.
Right. If they're not ready yet, just set the next step. Always the next step, which we're going to get to in our follow-up and closing. On the tour process, when we're going to go into follow-up next, a couple things. I know you guys brought your strategic close worksheets where you're working through a lead. Hopefully, even in completing those, as we get to the next section after lunch, we'll address those, so get those out when we get to that point. somebody was asking me how to create urgency now. And I've been a little cautious with this because I've trained some of you before, and I know I get a little bit of pushback, but I'm all about urgency. Like, I always think it's just as easy to ask them to come in tomorrow or today as it is 2 weeks from now. Like, they'll tell you if they can't do it that quick. Now, if you have a lot of tours and so we usually train with tomorrow or today work best because we know people pick the second option over the first more often. But I get the sense that would make you nuts because today's already all, booked out and planned out. So I would still say let's try to get them back within 48 hours in some capacity because they're in the shopper's state of mind right now. And if we're very laid back and we're saying come back in like a week or two, the whole world can be changed in a week or two. You know what I mean? I woke up this morning like Russia's flying jets over Alaska. You're like, what? Like, now that's a reason not to come back, right? Like there's going to be any reason not to come back. So I would challenge you to test the limits of urgency based on your ability, but I would not be like booking people for like a week or two out if you don't have to. And I know that they're very independent. They don't need to make a move now. They're all saying it's 2 years from now. People do that to me too. Oh, we're not going to do a training program until May of 2017. And next thing I know, because we're creating urgency, we're doing it, and they're like, can you do it in 30 days? Once all their needs are on the table, they realize what an issue this is and why they need to do it, but how they can't wait. Like, you can lose another $15 million between now and then, or we can start closing those gaps now. And all of a sudden it changes. You have to create the urgency. And I was kind of sharing with this team, when we do any kind of discovery call, any kind of sales call, before we're leaving, we're saying, okay, so we've done the discovery for an hour. So if you can just grab your calendar real quick, let's look what works next week. Are you available? And I'm looking at when I'm available. Is Tuesday or Thursday better for you? And actually, it's always in the same week, excuse me. So if it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we're booking it for the end of the week. And usually if it's a presentation, we're not letting more than, say, 4 days go by before the next presentation. And people are like, yes, they even want it sooner. So I just wonder, are you even attempting to create the urgency? Now, some people say, oh no, we want to get like 8 team members on the call and then it's going to be a week or two out. But try. They'll appreciate the urgency, especially if it's something enticing and maybe it's an event. You don't have to be there. You might greet them and they are going to spend the evening with residents or something. You had asked about residents. What a great place to use them. So do try to create urgency while they're interested. I always say we have to get them while they're shopping. They're shopping now. Why are we going to wait like a month? Something's going on now that maybe you don't know. And then on the tour, the 1 Extra. So I used to teach the 1 Extra. Some of you know what that is. It's now, we call it the wow factor. And the wow factor is not the 1 Extra, it's a combination. But just since, I think Lori brought it up yesterday, the 1 Extra does make a huge difference, which is why we do so many of them. It's insane. Like, I don't even want to know our budget on them because I don't care. It's all part of what I consider marketing. We don't run ads. We don't, our marketing is through raving fan customers who tell other people about us. And then as we get introduced to new people, we spoil them rotten and make them, we want them to feel very important to us because they are. So what the 1 Extra is really is just that gift idea. It doesn't have to be a tangible gift. It could be an experience. It could be an introduction, but really the 1 Extra is what is that one extra thing you're doing that's extraordinary and unexpected. So the tiger tail showed up. We had to FedEx the $6.99 tail. We had to FedEx them because my meeting was like on Tuesday. Our call was on Friday. I had to get it there before the meeting to make impact because they were making a decision that day, and I was brought in last. They already had 3 other people they were interviewing. They were doing some RFP thing, and then I came in last minute, so I knew I had a disadvantage. But we closed it, but the tiger tail, and then I got to my meeting, and I'm texting Amanda that was done with the meeting. I'm like, I didn't hear any reference to the tiger tail, and she's like, let me call Party City. And so when I was leaving, I texted the client and said, don't forget to check your mail, because he'd been in meetings, hadn't checked his mail, and then he loved it, right? He's already called me twice, and they're so excited they can't see straight. But it was just that tiny little thing, and so that would be a 1 Extra. So for you guys, like things that don't cost anything. So I was in Sonoma Valley with a property, and we were working, it was like 10 years ago, and we had a famous jazz singer coming in looking at the property. And we were actually, when we coach, we're side by side, we're working the leads, we're planning the tours, and we're like, okay, what can we do? And So we did fun stuff. So she was coming, I think, like in 3 days. So somehow we were like, who's this jazz singer? But we got a hold of her music, and so they piped in her singing. So when she came in the door, her CD was playing on the sound system. And then as a follow-up, they researched her online. And the follow-up, we printed out a picture we found online, and we found out her husband was actually a writer for music, so wrote music. So we framed an article about this couple and sent it to them. So it was thoughtful, did take some time, but they were freaking out. It made huge impact. You just don't expect that kind of service. And what's cool about the One Extra and this whole concept is, what people are psychologically thinking is, gosh, if they do this for me before I buy, what are they gonna do for me after I buy? Like, think about that. I'm not even a customer and they're treating me like this. So it really just builds that trust. And a lot of people like to do the I call them canned, and I'm fine. I'd rather have a can than nothing. So what they started doing in Sonoma, now I think about it, is they couldn't keep up with the One Extras. They just didn't, they wouldn't do them. So our last line of defense was we created a wine basket, because it's Sonoma Valley wine country. Put a bottle of wine in there, little things a key. We had a chocolate key to represent home. When people left, we gave them this basket. Still makes impact. It's unexpected. American House, where I just came from, they're all American blue collar worker. They just have an amazing brand. It's the flat, it's all American, everything. They have all this World War II stuff they do for veterans. So they give an American pie, an apple pie, which is so perfect for their brand. Everybody goes home with a delicious hot apple pie. So I'm fine with that if you create one thing that's really true to your brand, but there's nothing like the thoughtfulness and personal touch of a detail from a conversation. That is going to give you, here's the statistic, are you ready? A 70% better chance of closing on the next step. That's the statistic. So I don't know, I like those stats. And our close conversions are insanely strong, and we know that's part of it. The handwritten thank you note. I know you guys probably do this very well. I've tested that so many times in my business. When I do a handwritten thank you note, it's like we close almost every one. It's insane. I'm like, how can something so little be such a game changer to our conversions? And sometimes, like you, I'm good with them. Sometimes I'm bad with them. It depends on how busy I am. Now we just have a system where they get written, at the end of the week or whenever I can, I make a whole list and we just get them out because they are non-negotiable, so special in this non-connected, over-connected world. You know what I mean? So, and you're dealing with a whole different generation that really values these personal touches because we just don't see them anymore. So I can't express enough. So we know that people who are touring in most situations are not going to deposit that day with you because you got a complex sale with an entry fee, the monthly rents. You need to financially qualify them. So what we're going to do after lunch is really start the whole, what do we do in the first week of follow-up? And that's all I'm going to focus with you on, because if you nail the first week of follow-up, it's going to put you in a different position. And I think you'll like the first week of follow-up. It's so strong. I don't always teach, but we do have extra tools that go way into the first year. But I've learned people can only handle so many tools, so we only give so much now until those are mastered. Then we'll give you more of the advanced tools because you can't just jump ahead. So let's see where we are. No other feedback about your role plays. I know that was a tougher one because I think when you get to follow up and we role play that, that's going to help you really work that close again. I want you guys objecting in the closes so you can keep working on asking questions. How was it with you? Like, were you able to think about a question or not? Like, on the fly? Did you find yourself struggling to ask an open-ended question? Can I see who struggled with it? Because it's not normal, right? But when you think of one, do you feel kind of proud of yourself? Like, oh, that was a good one. You know what I mean? Oh, you're asking him lots of questions? But I bet you have a good marriage. Yeah, I'm with you. You have to do it. Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with you. Hey, and if you have teenagers, I'm like the question queen. All the kids live at my house, and I love it. And they all call Mom. I have like 5 daughters, so they're all like, Mom, listen, I got daughter 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And they're all like, Mom. And I'm like, don't do that in front of your mom. She's going to, not like that. But they all think it's a joke. But the reason they like to hang out at my house because they sit at my kitchen bar. It's like, it's a kitchen bar. And I ask them millions of questions. And we all think teenagers are quiet. And I had to coach my mom, who's 70, because she was having a mental breakdown because she's helped raise my daughter. I mean, they're like soulmates. And she'd be like, Paris doesn't talk to me anymore. She's crying. She's like, she's just blocking me out. I'm like, Mom, you got to change the way you communicate with her. She's 13. And she's like, I ask her how her day is. And I'm like, and that's the last thing she wants to hear. And it's funny because another grandma stopped talking to her best friend, Paris, her best friend. Her grandma won't talk to her because she says she's mean and she doesn't treat her with respect anymore. And I know Olivia, she's my second daughter. But I'm like, no one's talking to these girls right. It's questions. So, and I never know what to ask, but I never ask, how was your day? They don't want to say how, they're just like, fine. Come on, you all know, right? So I'm always like, what was the strangest thing that happened today? Like they're like, oh, well, let me tell you. Or, what happened that was super embarrassing today? And I do the eyes too. Like, what happened that was really embarrassing at school today? And my kids are like, no, I'll be. Then they get competitive because they'll look at each other and go, one won't say something, then one will, and then they just won't shut up because they want to outdo each other. All of our kids do that. You know what I mean? But like, it's adults, children. Once we get to a certain level of maturity where we're old enough to really talk, they're smart enough to know they want to be stimulated too, right? And they're just like our seniors. If we just ask them yes or no questions, it's just they're on autopilot. Yeah, I can say, is anybody going to the dance with anybody? And I get, no. 8th grade dances come up, but I'm like, okay. So that's a yes or no. So tell me, who are you guys wanting to go to the dance with? Who are you hoping is going to ask you to go to the dance? Then I start getting little chatters and things because I'm making them think. So it's the same thing. Like, you can do this. So like tonight, on the way there, you guys, the person you're sitting by, you can be like, so tell me about your family. Where'd you go to school? What'd you do before Acts? What do you do for a hobby? What have you always wanted to do? You know what I mean? Like, you make some amazing lifelong friends in like one evening if you do that. And they will feel so important, and they won't even know what you're doing. Okay, so we're going to break for lunch in a minute. No, are you doing that system on me? Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to show you. So this is what we're going to do after lunch. We're going to go into follow-up. And I can't wait to teach you this system because we know that in follow-up, we never have enough follow-up. Would you agree? Like, there's never enough follow-up. And to get to the velocity of sales we need two things: strong systems and high levels of income-producing activity. So your action items. So I'm going to show you how to learn to love the phone and love follow-up, because we know 99% of all people in sales have call reluctance. They're not really excited to get on the phone, right? No one's like, yay, it's follow-up time. I don't do that either, just so you know. I'm like, ugh, all right. But once I get on, I use my systems, as I'm going to show you, and you will love them. I'm going to teach you a 5-step phone system to get 5 yeses in under a minute. I know, like, when we work with Life Care Services, a long time ago, it's been a long time ago, all we worked with them on was, and I'm just saying this because it's similar, was phone skills. That was it. We didn't do any other training, and it was all done over the phone, this training. And we grew their appointment conversion by like 25% in like just like it was 12 weeks or something. I have a letter. I don't have them all memorized, but it was very strong. And we never touched anything else, and they saw a sales spike. And they said, all went back to that phone system. And so what I'm going to help you do is increase your phone to appointment conversion, right? Does anybody know what their phone to appointment conversion is right now? So my goal for you on hot and warm leads is 1 out of 2. That's crazy, but I'm a high bar setter. But minimally, 30%. Would that be cool? So if you reach, 10 people, at least book 3, that's pathetic. I want you at 1 out of 2. Now, on a cold call, no, we're just fishing, we're throwing the line out, we're seeing what we can get, and our goal would be to, just get, even if we can get 20% to respond to a next step. So I'm going to show you how to do that. It's fun. And then we're going to go into the follow-up to a visit connection sheet. You already know how to do it. It's a different set of questions. We're going to deal with, that's where you're going to get a lot of objections, right, to people not wanting to come back on site. They need to think about it. They want to look at your competitors, all of that. We will address that. We'll role play that sheet and tool. And then, bring any other questions, because we're going to be getting into the afternoon. But I think you'll really enjoy, and this next step will help you with the follow-up. Any other things you want me to address when we come back that we've not gotten to so far? Okay. So lunch is till 1, right? Okay.